What? Why does Olive have cover-up lore in her Beach Blaster bio? What is going on behind the scenes here, and why aren't you paying that off? And why is there no actual lore as to why her cannon's made of bamboo? These are important questions! Each Blaster Olive's Trustmaster reward is a materia that lets your unit equip guns, boost their magic stat, and boost their limit burst damage. This is a pretty good materia, as it lets you potentially build your units better, and while it's not as flexible as you might like due to the lack of attack buffs, it certainly beats out the regular equipped gun. Her Super Trustmaster reward is a two-handed gun with high magic. When equipped onto Beach Blaster Olive, but not the other two, it'll give her 750 magic. But thankfully, the other two Olives and everyone else still benefits from the second passive, giving a big boost to magic when carrying a single weapon and a double beast and machine killer. Onto her active abilities. Dual Summer Shot deals damage that partially ignores the enemy spirit. Fury Splash inflicts a 130% fire and water imperil, a 85% attack and defense break, strengthens the damage modifier of Dual Summer Shot for a single turn, which can go higher with morale, and then grants him more morale. Brilliant Splash is the same thing, but the imperil switch to water and light, and the breaks to magic and spirit. Sky, Sea, and Shooter gives Olive a massive physical killer buff against birds and aquatic enemies, gives her a 40% physical and magical mitigation buff against said species, and we've already covered this part so I'm just going to skip it. Mammals, Machines, and Markswoman is the same thing, but the species change to beasts and machines. Giant Melon Ammo will boost Olive's magic by 300%, do the Hokey Pokey, and gives Olive a stored magic buff. Flaming Melons Flaming Melons will imbue fire onto Olive, boost her fire damage by 35%, grants a bigger damage modifier buff that also lasts longer, and the morale part is the same. Shining Melons imbues light onto Olive, and boosts her light damage by 35%. No morale benefits though. Juicy Melons Juicy Melons is Shining Melons, but juicy out of water. Gunner Guardian will give Olive a big HP barrier, lets her evade 5 attacks, gives the same damage modifier bonus as Flaming Melons, though it actually has a higher ceiling of morale, and it restores said morale. Fire Cannon Fire is a Magnus ability which requires 2 charges to use. It inflicts a 140% fire imperil, removes any magic breaks on Olive, boosts her magic by 300%, gives her the same damage modifier buff as Gunner Guardian, but it only lasts for a single turn, and gives her a big stored magic buff. Passives. With her Trustmaster reward or Super Trustmaster reward equipped, Olive gains 600 magic, a big booster land burst damage, equipment magic when carrying a single weapon, a guts buff, and changes her normal attack to Cleansing Cannon, which removes buffs, then deals damage that scales of morale and chains of a triple casted Bolting Strike. This passive can actually get better, as it is a brave ability. Not that you can really tell because good game design. Regardless, she really needs that lock passive, given this passive list is fairly empty. She does have 4 strong killers though, so that's cool. She prefers to carry a single weapon, and meets half the cap to the chain limit boost. She also gets the other type of chaining boost and has a neat quintuple cast. Blast. At EX plus 2 she gets Watermelon Weaponry, which is pretty much Roaring Spear but also restores a bit of morale. At EX plus 3 she gets Battle Hardened and Suntanned, which is 500 magic plus 1000 HP. Her elemental resistance is pretty good for fire, water, and light, but everything else doesn't get any benefits. Let's look at her Limit Burst. Inflicts an 85% Spear Break, a 25% Gun Imperil, and deals magic damage that partially ignores the enemy's defense, strengthens Dual Summer Shot, and charges Fire Cannon Fire by 1. As a Super Limit Burst damage dealer, Olive has access to Magic Shift, which automatically boosts her magic by 250%, her Limit Burst damage by 200%, and fills her Limit Burst gauge when the Super Limit Burst is ready to go. The Super Limit Burst raises the Spirit Break to 90%, the Gun Imperil to 30%, deals damage that chains of Extreme Nova and scales of morale, strengthens Dual Summer Shot with a huge scaling of morale, and recharges Fire Cannon Fire by 2. Let's rank Brave abilities. I'd prioritize raising Essential Gear to strengthen her passives, and Flaming Melons to raise the damage modifier ceiling for morale fights. Time to make a damage rotation. On turn 1, cast Flaming Melons, Gunner Guardian, Fury Splash, Giant Melon Ammo, and Dual Summer Shot. On turn 2, cast Sky, Sea, and Shooter, Mammals, Machines, and Markswoman, Brilliant Splash, Giant Melon Ammo, and Dual Summer Shot. Repeat that on turn 3. On turn 4, cast Sky, Sea, and Shooter, Mammals, Machines, and Markswoman, Giant Melon Ammo, Dual Summer Shot, and Fire Cannon Fire. On turn 5, use your Super Limit Burst. Repeat the rotation from here. So, EX2. As a Super Limit Burst damage dealer, Olive automatically benefits from additional EX Awakenings. EX plus 2 lets you start off with her Leia Burst, which can land some debuffs, but honestly at that level it's not too difficult to find it elsewhere. She'll benefit more from her Super Trustmaster reward, which has good stats and passives. Unfortunately, EX plus 3 is the sweet spot you can't afford, but the daily fragment challenge is up, so oh boy. So how good is Beach Blaster Olive? Though her damage modifiers might look kind of low, even with the boost in at max morale, you have to remember she can easily apply Storm Magic buffs on herself, doubling down where others might not be able to. As far as damage output goes, she's the best magic damage dealer in the game by standalone standards, and it helps that she's also flexible. She can also freely imbue herself with 3 elements, though she's best with fire due to the fact that the other 2 don't provide any buffs or dual summer shot, but there are definitely ways around unwanted elemental imbues. As for the breaker side, her 90% spear break is easily the draw. Her fire impero is great, sure, though only 3rd best, and her gun impero is definitely strong, but doesn't really set any new standards. Furthermore, when it comes to gun imperos and spirit breaks, Olive faces heavy competition from Louise, who can inflict both debuffs with ease, though of course her damage output doesn't compare to Olive's, and her 90% spirit break is limited. Of course, we have to talk about Olive's Super Leia Burst status. Super Leia Burst units face a heavy demerit in the form of, well, one form, and thus, when building a Super Leia Burst unit, you may often have to sacrifice damage for survival. Now recent Super Leia Burst units have been receiving better survival passes to compensate. Unfortunately, Olive's survival passes are a bit niche. She doesn't have any evasion to speak of, camouflage isn't that great of a defensive passive when provoke is so important anyways. Her elemental resistance is great for the elements she uses, but you'll nevertheless have to sacrifice some damage if you're assaulted by one of the other choices, and Guts is just a safety net. Thankfully, when it comes to damage, Olive can meet most of the limits of her equipment, though you may still have to work on killers. It's also well worth noting that despite being a Leia Burst unit, it's very difficult for Olive to get her Leia Burst up without support, so EX Awakenings do unfortunately play a significant role. Lastly, Regina, the future unit who shares a similar playstyle to Olive but lacks the debuffs. When comparing the damage modifiers, Olive's is much lower, and when it comes to passives, Regina has better offensive variety. Ultimately, though Beach Blaster Olive is a very strong damage dealer with great debuffs, it's potentially a bit difficult to balance that with proper survival. It also hurts that her offensive playstyle is incredibly similar to an upcoming unit. She's nevertheless a very good global original, and will certainly benefit from strong support. Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, leave a like and subscribe. Comment below if you summoned Beach Blaster Olive. You know, I finally took the time to clear out my gift box, and I gained a lot of lapis. Not enough for Safety Net Olive, but enough for the Vision card. The Leia Burst damage buff only affects those that scale off morale though, but units with multiple script counts will really benefit from this, like Oliveira, Chizuru, Sky, and Ibarra. Though of course for everyone else, a boost is still a boost.